Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Earth Body Consciousness. Great to have you all aboard with us today. Today, I'm very blessed to have a dear divine brother to come and join us. John Thode is coming along, and yeah, it's nice to connect with John and bring a brother on here. It's not often we have many men shining their light, so I'm always happy to bring one forth. And John and I we met, well, in person not so long ago. I was walking down through the country, and through a mutual friend, we came together to lunch. And then I stayed with them for a few days. And then now, some weeks later, I'm back with them. So, welcome, John. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Brother Jacob. I really appreciate the opportunity to just to be with you and to do some sharing. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah. Like as always, we just come together and we'll see how it flows. We can start off with, yeah, you sharing a little bit about yourself and your journey, which feels resonance to share with the audience.
Okay, thanks, mate. My whole life pretty much has been about my spiritual journey, and that started really young as a teenager. I had a mother who was really passionate about spiritual things, and she kept feeding me books that were current at the time. I'm talking back in the really early 70s now too. And so that kind of awakened me, and it set me on a path that sort of brought me in the year 2000, say around 2012. I came across the work of Drunvalo Melchizedek, and he was running workshops called Awakening the Illuminated Heart, and I read his books, which were The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Love, sorry, The Flower of Light, and he I guess when you read something like that and it resonates strongly with you spiritually, there's like a light bulb goes off inside, and that's what it was like with that book. And I felt so energized and enthusiastic about it. I decided I had to do one of his workshops, and um, as often happens when you come across spiritual things like this in your life, if you're in the flow, the doors begin to open, and that's exactly what happened. So, we had a friend staying with us who said, "Hey, that workshop's being run down in Auckland next weekend, so you better get on board and get moving." So, and my wife and I, we did, and we went down and did this workshop with a beautiful man called Ron Laplace, who just just generates love from his being. He's just a beautiful man, and we did the workshop and found it so profound that we decided that we also wanted to teach this work as well too. So we went to Mexico actually, and to a place called Lake Chapala, and we trained with 120 other teachers from around the world at this beautiful lakeside resort, and it was really like being in a bliss bubble. There were all these people that were really part of your soul family, and you'd keep moving around from day to day, coming across these people, having a big hug, making eye contact, and it's like, I know you, and and you'd have these such in-depth conversations, and it was so cool. But we were having a big, there was a huge workshop there, and Drunvalo was there most of the time. So we were learning tremendous things each day, and also doing ceremony, which was very, very powerful. We had a circle in the middle of the grass area within the actual resort where we had people doing this amazing sounding as well too, that echoed all the way around the whole valley where we were too, and it kind of set shivers down your spine. But that was very profound for both of us. And when we came back to New Zealand, we did two more training workshops and got certified. And since then, this is about 2013, we have run about 25 workshops in both Australia and New Zealand too. So this is a workshop called Awakening the Illuminated Heart. And It's clear in Drunvalo's writings that he differentiates between the mind or the brain and the heart. And what he says that is that the brain is an aspect of us that's tied up in the duality. You know, it has a left and right hemisphere, and it is about the duality. And when we create from the brain, we do it as a mental process, we often create what we want, but also what we don't want. So we get both things, which is the nature of the duality. The moment we enter the heart, which is the center of unity consciousness, we only just create from love. And that's the secret of entering the heart, is we've got to be holding a vibration of love. Love is like a key that that when we come down and enter the heart, we require this vibration to actually get in, because that's the vibration of the heart too. And so this is what the workshop is around. There's a lot at the beginning about getting the people that attend the workshops into that vibration of love. And there's a lot of information, but exercises. A lot of these exercises come from the Sufis, actually. Some beautiful dance meditations, sound meditations. There's a healing day as well too. And the intention with all of that is to bring everyone into this vibration of love, so that they can enter the heart and work on doing the creation process. But also the other aspect of that is activating the third eye. So you activate that, which is the beginning of, for those of us that don't have that, the perception and awareness of consciousness that is like, I guess, the psychic center too. So that's the opening of the third eye, which of course is the pineal gland as well too. And there's a process that comes down from the it's come from the ascended masters for Drunvalo, but also it's come from the Kundalini yoga schools as well too, and the Kriya yoga schools as well too, a lot of this information. So these are specific techniques that connect the heart back to the brain as well too. And they activate that third eye, but they also activate the Merkaba, which is the light body. And that's something that sits down inside the 8 original cells, which actually sit just above our perineum, in the lower part of our body, and it comes out like a huge disc. And that's another aspect of the workshop as well that we do. So this is a 4-day workshop, so there's a huge amount that we cover. As I say, we did our last one about a year ago, and I have found the whole, things that are going on at the planet at the moment with the pandemic and so forth have kind of disrupted things a wee bit. But we're now getting people that want us to start it up again. And so that's our intention, to do that, is to get this moving again this year, and to run another workshop as well too. And there's a little bit more information coming through from Drunvalo around the pineal and telepathic communication from pineal to pineal, which is very interesting stuff that is quite new, and stuff that we'll be talking about on the workshop as well too. So that's the aspect of where I'm at, as far as the spiritual things that are going on in my life. Apart from that, I guess on a personal level, my passions are really around plants. I'm a person of nature. I love plants. I've ran a plant nursery for 25 years at my place in Ruakaka, and I had a landscaping business where I designed and built gardens for people as well too. So, and they're 2 areas that I really, really loved. But it just got a little overwhelming there for a while, as far as the way the business was growing and growing, and I reached a point where I thought, no, this is a little bit too much. So we sold that up a couple of years ago, and we're now here in Mangawhai on a beautiful 6 acres with a lovely river running through the middle of it, and some very ancient native trees, and some good people staying here as well too. And I've started up a little mini nursery as well too. I can't help myself too. So that's where I am at the moment. And yeah, no, I find the times that we're in at the moment really exciting. I think all of us have chosen to be born here at this time, because we all have unique gifts that we can share and assist people in awakening too. So that's what I think we're here for, is just to all to, in the words of Ram Dass, we're just all walking each other home. So that's that's how it is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful sharing. So with yeah, and here I'm staying here, and it's a magical spot, and nature's everywhere, and I can see the way it nurtures, and the way that you tend to the garden, and you can see that connection when I look around, but I also see that within you, that very heart connection with nature, and how much it brings. So that's really beautiful to bring that through as well. And I think, what you're sharing with the workshops is very connecting with higher consciousness, and then you have your grounded aspect. So with the plants, and like the work that you do, they can come together in a beautiful union, because we have to stay grounded and anchor in these codes. And do you find, with your workshops, of course, everyone's at different places on their journey, and um come, yeah, with different understandings and knowings. So are there some things you could share that you've noticed on the workshops that people could maybe experience when they come to your next one, if they feel called?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we have. I mean, they're not huge workshops. I think the biggest ones had about 14, 15 people, and they can be as small as 5 or 6. So they're often in that range. But there are always a huge range of people with varying degrees of consciousness, and however they are is absolutely perfect. And all you are doing is just sowing seeds as well too. um, and whatever resonates with someone will resonate with them, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. And it may come to them many years later. They may get a flashback and think, oh yeah, I get that now too. So it doesn't really matter at what stage someone's at as well too. But I think there's something in there that's useful for everyone. But what is really useful for people coming to this workshop um, is, if they can, to actually read Drunvalo's books. So the two main books that he had was The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, and there's 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. The next books that he did were Living in the Heart, and also The Serpent of Light. Those are the 4 main books that I would suggest you read. Now, the intention with asking people to do that is for them to see if this information resonates with them as well too. If they get any of those light bulb moments as well too, and they think, wow, this is great. I need to find out a wee bit more. So that will lay the groundwork for the information that we share be in the workshops, because it's in the workshop that the activations are done. So it's helpful if people have done that reading beforehand. It's not essential, but it is helpful as well too. We also carry a reasonable library of these books as well too. And in the past, where people have not been able to access the books, I'm really comfortable with the idea of posting them a copy of a book, or a couple of books like that for them to read at no charge, and for them to read them, on the condition, of course, that they return them when they've finished as well too. So we can offer that as well too. So yeah, so if people feel like that they would like to do something like that, they should probably try and access those books, or contact Waveney or myself, and send us a message as well too. I might just give you my email, if that's okay. And that's John Waves, and that's spelled JONWAVES at extra.co.nz. So you can send me an email at that if this resonates with you too. Cool.
Yeah, cool. And we'll put that into the footnotes so it's there for everyone. And yeah, they're quite books to consume, aren't they? You know, they're quite big volumes, so it's a wealth of information in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, as I say, I read them back in about 2011, 2012. And, at times I find the information almost overwhelming, although I did kind of devour the books. I've just recently reread them as well, too. And I found that I did skip sections as well, too. They're either sections that I didn't want to read. Or I felt comfortable with anyway, too. Excuse me, and just focused on the things that I wanted a bit more information. I was researching specific ceremonies that were sort of carried out within the Egyptian schools as well, too, which Drunvalo is very aligned with as well, too. So I was trying to find out the significance of the temples that are on the Nile, and also the significance of the Great Pyramid of Giza and the sarcophagus that's in the king's chamber, and what was that about? Because it was clear that it's not a burial place. It was part of for want of a better word, a ceremony that was performed that was allowing people to leave their body in a Fibonacci spiral in order to experience the astral. That was the main intention, was it? But they didn't let you do that until you'd been through a lot of the other initiations, so that you were holding a vibration of love rather than fear.
Mm. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to disrupt things, and also I guess it could be too much for your field as well if you're not in the right place.
Yeah. So yes, you're right, and people ask, well, what is this? I mean, love is a word that's kind of bandied around a lot too, and I get people in the workshop saying, well, what kind of love are we talking about? And I say to them, well, there are no kinds of love. There is just love. Love just is, and so why it's important is that, and there's a really cool movie actually that came out, I think, in '98, that's got Robin Williams in it. It's called What Dreams May Come, and it shows what happens. It's kind of in a limited way, in a sense, is that it's not a perfect depiction of this, but it shows what happens when we go to the other side and we're in the fourth density. And what's interesting about that is that it shows how, when we have a thought, it manifests immediately. And that's what Drunvalo um, sort of told us about when we were doing that main workshop. He said, when we ascend, we create everything around us instantaneously with the thoughts that we have. And that is why it's really important that in this life that we've dealt with our shadow side, we've looked at our shadow, we've come into a place of holding a vibration of love, or at least knowing how to hold a vibration of love, so that when we ascend up to the higher densities, we are creating from love. We're not creating from fear. And that's the important reason why knowing this information is fairly important too. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, we are amazing creators, aren't we? And it doesn't matter, like you say, where we're coming from. We're still creating, and it doesn't matter if we're conscious of it. We're still creating.
Yes. Yeah. All the time. And again, going back to what I said before, part of our workshop is to show you how to enter the heart, so that we enter into the heart, we have an outer space within the heart, which is called the sacred space. And we have inside that is an inner chamber, which is called the tiny space of the heart, which was written about in the Upanishads 5,000 years ago, too. There's an interesting piece in the Upanishads that describes it as well, too. And the tiny space of the heart is actually where we come from the higher dimensions into our body when we're in our mother's womb. We come through into the tiny space, and that's where we begin to manifest our body and create our body inside our mother's womb from that space. Now, that space is like a portal. It's a portal to all that is. And although it's called the tiny space, it has no limits. It's a limitless space. And one of the things we do in the workshop, we take you to that place. And this, of course, is in the unified field. So there's no male, female, right, wrong, black, white, anything like that, day, night. It's just everything in that space. There's no linear time. There's only spherical time as well, too. So that's the place whenever we meditate, we drop down out of our heads, where most people are based. And not, I say most, not all people. We drop down into the tiny space of our heart, and that becomes like our temple from where we actually meditate as well, too. And it's a physical movement of just boom, we're down in there. We before we do that, we connect like a lot of Indigenous people do. We connect with Mother Earth and Father Sun, Father Sky, and the third part of this Holy Trinity, which is ourselves, the divine child. And we create that three-way connection, which is another aspect of entering the heart as well, too. So, yeah, very interesting information, and we found that in practice it really does work too. It's beautiful.
So for some people, do you find is it more that's very natural for them, and then maybe others it's more like they have to keep coming back and having another go, and is there tools you have to assist someone who's maybe finding that a bit difficult or not able to last very long in there?
Yeah, well, definitely, yes. I mean, as I say, everyone's different, and some people just don't get it, and they can't see it. And I can include myself in that too, because when I did my first workshop with Ron Laplace down in Auckland, um, there was a lot of words, but I didn't really get. I mean, I got bits of it as well too, but it took many workshops and a lot of meditation before I really understood it completely as well. Too. Well, as understood it as well as I can understand it as well too. I think the understanding just is always growing too. So yes, there are people, and I've been in that space as well too, where they do it and they're understanding it from a headspace as well too, which is not always the best place to understand it from, but it's probably the first place that people understand it from. And there are other people who have cell memory, because the school that we have is called the School of Remembering. So we're not teaching anything. We're actually helping people to remember what they already know. So some people on the workshop, it's like there's these synapses in their brain and in their body and in their DNA that remembers this information, and suddenly it's just bang, 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 like this really quickly. They almost jump into an awakening as well too, and it's quite an ecstatic experience. For others, and I can include myself, the awakening is really slow, because whenever we are doing exercises, we always add the words at the end at the rate that is right for me, because to offer someone to open their third eye and to have it done just like that can be a dangerous thing. For some people, to be exposed and open to psychic awareness instantaneously is a very freaky experience. So we always, when we're working with intention, to use the words that this happens at the rate that's right for me. And I've always used that. And for my rate, it's been a really slow rate. So it's been really just sort of over the years, my intuitive ability has increased tremendously, to the point I remember sitting in our old house, just chatting with Waveney, and I looked up, I said to her, oh, a friend of ours called Glynis, I said, she's going to walk into the room in a few minutes. And like about 10 seconds later, there was a knock at the door and Glynis walked in. And that was like my intuition telling me, telling me what was going to go on. And too often we don't listen to it. And that's been my biggest lesson, over time, is to listen to that voice that's trying to help us, basically. One thing that Drunvalo says, that once you connect with your higher self, which is another way, I guess, of calling your intuition, he said, once you've connected with your higher self, you've won the game of life. And that's because you can stop in meditation and you can ask them, what's my next step in life? What do I need to be doing? Why is this happening? Or why isn't this happening? Or whatever you want to do. As soon as you begin dialogue with your higher self, the answers will come. And really, it is a very, very comforting type of place to be, because nothing seems to matter anymore. And then you are in the flow, and you're moving through life, listening to the guidance, and either listening to it and doing something, or ignoring it, as we sometimes do. We're pretty good at ignoring it sometimes, and sometimes those messages can become quite strident as well too, if our higher self feels like we really need to listen, and it'll trip us up and give us a boot in the arse if we need it sometimes too, as you probably know. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely does. It's yeah, spirit sometimes does need to just give you that good kick in the bum, because it is important, and it's not like I find that you miss anything, or there's any wrongness or anything, but it's just like you say, is it's just saying, well, this is important, and it's time for this stage to finish, or you to step into that, and we're going to keep knocking on your door, and if you don't listen, we'll kick it down.
That's about it too. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just beautiful to have that relationship, that you can see it from a higher perspective, or a conscious place, and that can help us. And I find when you say we don't always listen, yeah, I know that as well. Or we do listen, but we just choose to ignore it. And then our human self says, well, I actually want to do something else. And we just sometimes decide to do that. And it's good to just be okay with that as well, I find. It's just all part of the journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure.
So you also mentioned about the telepathic aspect, and if I heard you correctly, you said that's kind of a new part that's coming in now. Is that like new, or is it just more that it's aligned with the energies of now and cis people more so now?
Well, I don't, I don't know whether you could define it as new, because I'm sure other people have this information as well too. I'm specifically talking about stuff that Drunvalo comes through with. I mean, he's now in his 80s and he's pretty well semi-retired, although he is in the middle of writing a couple more books that take things to another level as well too. But um, he has come up with some stuff recently, and we have a teacher in the school that lives in Sedona, where Drunvalo is, and she's made contact with him, and has kind of, they're bouncing things off each other. So she's giving us this new information, and he had come through with this information, and he had brought a small group of local West Coast, American West Coast teachers together in Sedona to actually share it, to see how it worked too. And it was a direct download from his pineal gland to their pineal gland as well too. And the intention of the process is to activate the pineal gland in such a way that it becomes a medium for telepathic communication, pineal to pineal, and a transference of information from pineal to pineal as well too. So this is basically what this new thing is, and there's a technique that she's going to be showing us of how we activate this process as well too. Although she has done a transfer to us through Zoom anyway. That's been particularly interesting as well too. So that's going to be something that we will look at in coming months as well too, about how this telepathic communication grows within us as well too. So we'll see.
Mm, So that's like priming you guys up for, and do you feel that will be part of your upcoming workshops, or you just have to see how that flows?
Yeah, yeah. He's asked us to hold back a little bit on it because he's still clarifying some of the things on it as well too. And he's I think he said this month he's going to be coming through with a little bit more information that clarifies it and that crystallizes it within our beings as well too. So we'll look forward to that, and I feel that shortly after that the teachers will be sharing that within the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. That'll become an aspect of it as well too. So, yeah, we look forward to that as well too. But yeah, no, he's a remarkable man. I mean, he's some of the stuff that he's done. You would describe as miracles as well too, like manifesting weather systems as well too. My teacher Ron was with him when he was with the Hopi Indians, which he's very connected with, and they created big rain waves out of a blue sky too, because there was a drought. So they manifested rain, and it poured with rain too. And Ron watched this, with his mouth slightly agape as well too. So they have some extraordinary abilities. Which have written about it in the Eastern philosophies as well too. That as you grow with your spiritual awakening, there's a lot of these abilities come to you as well too. Yeah, I mean. He's talking about things like levitation and things like that, and I have a belief, but also a healthy skepticism as well too. I have part of me that sort of likes to see these things happen as well too. But I trust my friend Ron when he says he's actually witnessed a lot of these events occurring too, and the magic. I mean, he describes how they did it with something they call a tri-wave, and when you understand the science and the geometry around what he does when he explains it, it's like a light bulb moment as well too. So they kind of light years beyond us, and he spends most of his hours of the day, Drunvalo now, in meditation, and he's very connected with the ascended masters. He actually is in conversation with them a lot of the time. Through the early part of his writings, the energy that is Thoth, the Atlantean, who's known of it in the Egyptian mysteries as well too. He didn't channel him. Thoth actually manifested in his room. He appeared in his room, and he taught him. He taught him. He showed him a lot of what is written in these books over a considerable period of time too. And this is a lot of what lot of Drunvalo's guidance is coming directly from ascended masters and from great teachers like Thoth as well too.
Amazing. Yeah, beautiful. Love it. Love
Mm.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
May we all find a place in ourselves where we can be in these ways of being and connection and yeah, I'm sure that, we will. I feel we're in very amazing times, and it's all just becoming more accessible to us as long as we do the work ourselves, and move through our belief systems that don't serve us and wounds, and yeah, open ourselves and be in our heart.
Yep, I think that, like I said before, we all of us are going through that process of looking at our shadow, and I think when you look at what's happening on the planet today, um, that is almost a the macrocosm is the microcosm of what's going on within ourselves as well too. So you know the old Hermes, as above so below, it's also as within so without too, and
Yeah.
so on the planet we see that, but of course it's also reflected within ourselves as well too. So as we move into the light, everything comes up for healing too within our own beings too, and everything is contained within our beings. Everything that we see is a manifestation of ourselves as well too, and that's becoming quite clear now for most people on a spiritual path. We see that we are these divine creators. We create everything around us, and we're responsible for this duality that's going on there, and we also have a responsibility. Well, not a responsibility, but we have the ability to change as well too. The change without is also the change within too. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that being in that unity consciousness.
Mm, absolutely.
So yeah, beautiful sharings. I've really enjoyed it. Is there anything more you'd like to touch on as we wind down with this conversation?
I think that's pretty well covered it. I think for those that find these times particularly stressful, I think it's really important to take time to be in nature, to be there in bare feet and allow ourselves to ground, to be around trees, um, and to enter the ocean, to be around water and to enter the ocean as well too, and allow ourselves to ground a lot of these things out of ourselves. But the trees are sentient beings, and they love us as well, and we only need to connect with them to realize how much we can, how much loving we can receive there, and just a few minutes or even preferably a few hours or a few days in nature is something that if we're really upset about things, just drop everything and just go out into nature, and that's one of the best things that you can do. And be conscious of water too, not just the salt water, but the water we drink as well too. Look at that work, the work of Vida Austin, who's a dear friend of ours too. She's doing wonderful stuff around water, and if there was ever any example of the consciousness on the planet and the consciousness of water, then that's it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Yeah, and it's so it helps to grasp it, isn't it? It becomes more tangible when you see something like that because of the work that she's doing. So yeah, Vida Austin's amazing like that. Yeah. Thank you so much, brother. It's so beautiful to have you on and share your light, your love light with us. And I'm sure there's lots of little bits there for people, and yeah, this will reach those who it's for, as we know, and they'll come forth. And yeah, exciting times, and looking forward to when it comes into alignment for your next workshop. I feel that's exciting for both you and Waves.
Yes, thank you, brother, and thanks for the opportunity to do that sharing. I've really enjoyed it too. So yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening. So grateful to have you with us, and may you all go well, and sending you so much love.